Welcome to day 2 of WordCamp Phoenix. How do you guys feel? Yay. This is only day 2. Remember, there's day 3 also, and we have a filled day for you guys. I just want to say this is our keynote, and this is the only session right now. If you feel like there's too many people and you want to get a little away and but still be involved and watch, then right next door in study hall, we are streaming in there. So you can, if you like, also catch the keynote in there. So our keynote this year is Josh Strebel. Josh Strebel, co-founder of Pagely, and very, very, very involved with WordPress for many years, and very much pivotal in WordPress Arizona altogether. The first WordCamp Phoenix was in 2009. The same year, Pagely started here in Phoenix, pioneering the managed WordPress hosting market. Since then, Pagely has created premium hosting for large, high-traffic WordPress sites, started the Pressnomics conference, and recently announced Northstack, a serverless hosting product for pay-as-you-go, as-you-use hosting. We are thrilled to have Josh's unique perspective on WordPress and business, and to highlight a company started and headquartered here in Phoenix. Very big deal for us. We love showcasing all the big deals and names that happen here in Phoenix that are in the WordPress ecosphere. So everybody, Pagely is pretty globally known, so we're proud. So coming up, Josh. Just real quick to have to say, it was always our goal to have Josh speak at our 10-year anniversary. So I was glad he accepted our invitation. But so we like you.
Excellent, thank you. Am I on? March 14th, 2018. Sally and I were dead asleep in our bedroom. And, our kids here, they were probably sleeping between us with the face, head in the face, the foot in the back sort of thing. 4 o'clock in the morning, we hear a frantic knock on the door. Sally gets up, goes and see what's going on. I'm kind of groggy-eyed. I hear in the foyer, "Frady, what's going on? Why are you here? Is everything okay?" So I walk out of the bedroom, and I see Jeremy Frady, one of our employees, at my door at 4 in the morning. And he says, "Josh, something's gone wrong. We have a bunch of sites down, and we've been trying to reach you." Not the best way to wake up. So all right, thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it, bud. You okay? Okay, yes. Pull out my laptop, sit in my little home office, open the screen, log into Slack. We have an alerts channel, so all our automated monitoring for all the servers that we manage pipe into a channel. And it was just red. Ding, 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 ding. Massive outage. Our DevOps team is in the thick of it. Everybody around the world, they're all up trying to triage. "Josh, we've been trying to reach you. Dude, we got a problem." Here's the deal. We had several dozen of our highest value accounts, representing millions of dollars of revenue to our company, out. So I asked myself, what the hell is going on? How did this happen? We'll continue that story. Take a quick moment to just look over these 3. I'm going to try something new with this talk. I want to hit on these points throughout the talk, and we'll see if it works out. But we have authority bias, attribution bias, and survivorship bias. And how many of you see an old woman? Raise your hand. How many of you see a young lady? Raise your hand. Okay. How did I get here today on this stage right now? Every good superhero has an origin story, and I'd like to share mine with you. I'm getting heckled by my 7-year-old. I went to college up in Flagstaff at NAU. It took me six years, can't count, 6 years to get my undergrad. Somewhere halfway through that college career, I met Sally, who later became my wife. And this is basically how it went. I graduated college on Friday. Saturday, we got married. We went on a honeymoon, came back, moved into our apartment, and for all intents and purposes, started our company on Monday. That company was called OBWeb Technologies. It was a small web design, SEO, light development shop. Our office was up on Scottsdale and Raintree, up in the air park. We did, basic websites. Come a little later, about 2005, 2006, we had this idea for a party planning social network. Super awesome, best party ever. It's the best name ever. Didn't work. Lost $100,000. I'll never see it again. Sometime around 2006, as we're doing web design work, the customers that we had in the early days in 2003 were coming back and saying, we'd like you to build us another website. Still $500, right? No. Our rates have gone up a little bit since then. And, after 2 or 3 of those phone calls a day, Sally overheard, and she's like, you said no to like $10,000 a day. It's like, yeah, but we can't be profitable, at these small amounts anymore. This is when you know you've married a good woman. She says, well, why can't you? What's stopping us from doing that? So lo and behold, we put some code together and developed a little website builder based on WordPress, version 1.2b, I think. And you essentially hit the home page and you saw a bunch of screen icons of like themes. You choose your theme, you put your credit card in, and on the other side came a WordPress site. And that was it. That allowed us to give clients kind of a self-service hosting plan that they could kind of take care of the site themselves. It didn't really go very far. We only got 30 or 40 clients on it. And then we moved on to something else. We just really didn't know how to market it. We really didn't know what we had. Come 2008, do we remember what the market was in 2008 in Phoenix? Was looking for something to do. We had kind of wound down the company. We didn't have any employees anymore. It was just me doing contracting work. And I'm thinking, what can I do? So I went back and looked at that code that we had done in 2006, added some features to it, domain registration, email hosting, some other various things, rudimentary caching, automatic backups. Later in September 2009, we launched Pagely, the first managed WordPress hosting company. Who here knows what managed WordPress hosting is? Yeah, all those cool things that you all take for granted now, they all came out of this knucklehead's head 10 years ago in a little office in Chandler. All right? Now it's a $2 to $3 billion industry. And more recently, we have started Northstack, managed serverless application hosting. In addition, somewhere along the way, we came up with this idea to do a conference for WordPress business professionals called Pressnomics. We've had 5 of them thus far here in Phoenix. We're going to do a 6th, we've just decided, and look for emails and announcements on Tuesday. Pretty awesome, right? Just married right out of college. I'm a mega millionaire on stage at WordCamp. Nice, straight, easy line. That's the story of success, right? Most people, entrepreneurs, may share their journey this way. Oh yeah, I did A, I did B, I did C, and now I'm rich. Most people may look at entrepreneurs that way and say, wow, dude, you just were in a startup, and now you're on the cover of Fortune. What's it really look like? as you can see, somewhere around 2009, we kind of figured it out. We figured out what we wanted to be doing and who we were serving and who we were talking to, and away you go. So the reality of any entrepreneurship journey is a lot of trial and error. And the trick is, you got to try a bunch of different things. But you have to know when to ditch the losers and when to give the potential winners time to grow. The sad thing is I know a lot of people who they're on their 12th startup or their 15th business idea. And what happens? They don't give it enough time to incubate and really grab hold and start working, and they go on to the next thing. So they look back at the last 10 years, and they have a dozen failed projects. Try to make sure, if you're going to do this thing, this journey, you know when it's not working and you can walk away, but you know when, if there's a spark that it's just starting to work, you give a little bit more water and you let that thing grow a little bit more. It's been 10 years since we started Pagely. 10 very long years. Excuse me, just got a bit of a cold. But it's worked. This is where we are now. We serve the biggest names with WordPress hosting. Our tagline is we help big brands scale WordPress. We don't have millions of customers. We have thousands. But those thousands are household names, and they come to us for one very specific reason, because we're the best at what we do. So how did we get here, though? Remember, entrepreneurship, it's really hard. Seth Pepper is one of the dads at my school. My son and his daughter in the same grade. And so we talk once in a while, and Seth is a bit of a wise man. And he was a U.S. champion swimmer for U of A. At one point, he was the fastest man in water. And this is what he told me one day. He said, I told a white lie to myself over and over until I believed it. And then others around me started to believe in it too. And then it finally came true, and it was no longer a lie. That's how he became the fastest man in water. That's how I became an entrepreneur. A little bit of self-delusion. Right? You got to lie to yourself just a little bit. You just got to be a little crazy. Right? So you may hear this as fake it until you make it. I think that's disingenuous because nobody's faking anything. This is real life at stake. You can't fake real life. You can't fake the consequences of failure. But it is a good idea to just, be your own best cheerleader. Because once you get out there in the real world with your business, if you're not your own best cheerleader, you're going to get eaten alive. Because they come at you from all sides. Pagely launched September 2009. New market, new channel. Nobody had heard of this thing before. It was interesting. It was fun. About a year later, we got our first competitor. They had a couple $1 million in the bank. They knew how to go to every WordCamp and give away T-shirts. About a year after that, we had our next competitor, and then 3 more, then 5 more, then 8 more. I don't know, what is there, 30 viable options for hosting a WordPress site in a managed environment now? They came at us from every direction. And every one of them said the same thing: we're better than Pagely. I mean, okay, I guess. Nice to meet you, So how do we survive? How did we get through that? How did we get through this herd of lions? We're a bootstrap company. We have never taken a dime of funding. We will never take a dime of funding. Because my wife and I feel like that is the antithesis of a company that cares about people. Because it just subtly shifts the focus of a company. We get the luxury of focusing on our employees and our product. and our service and investing in those things. We don't care what a board of directors thinks. We don't care about hitting some revenue number to get our next round of funding. Because there's certainly good companies that have taken investment out there, but in the back of every decision they make, they have to get a return. They have to make money. So it just kind of clouds what they do a little bit. So how did we get through this herd, or this fight, with all these well-funded competitors coming in? We just changed the game. Okay, Pageless manage WordPress, God, now it's just, how do you tell us apart? There's 20 of us. So we had to do something different. We had to figure out something else. So we started going up market. When we launched Pageless, it was $14.98 a month, 3 times the going rate of GoDaddy generic hosting. It was outrageous. I got hate mail. How dare you charge $15 a month to install WordPress? Well, so we slowly changed our offering. We slowly tried to differentiate ourselves. We got away from we're the best WordPress host for everybody to we're the best WordPress solution for this group of people. And that group of people tended to be a little higher up the food chain. And so it's not just about changing your pricing and charging more. You must be fundamentally better than anybody else that's serving that target market. Our target market happens to be the largest WordPress sites, the most complex, the ones that are most mission critical. And I get it. Every realtor's site is mission critical. I don't want to take anything away from them. Okay, so we did this. We did this journey. We moved from a commoditized, low-end, everybody says they're doing everything, to the top of the stack. It's basically the philosophy from this book, The Blue Ocean Strategy, and there's the authors up there if you want to research it. But essentially, the Blue Ocean Strategy is that red oceans are bad and blue oceans are good. Red oceans are marketplaces and competitive spaces that are heavily saturated with competition and the blood of losers and winners and war and all these things. You can't succeed in that because the next guy can always outspend you. The next guy can always do this. The next guy can always do that. You can't succeed in a crowded market. So you need to figure out how to get out of the red ocean and into a blue ocean. And most of the time, you create that blue ocean and then move to it. So you would seek a new blue ocean. You clearly define your value prop and how you differentiate. For Pageless, that was, we only want these sites from these customers, and we're going to do it this way. It was very specific, very different from what other people were doing. And we cut ourselves out of the whole bottom 2/3 of the market. We don't have very many $100 customers anymore. We stopped selling those plans a long time ago. So we sought out a different part of the market. Then we slowly pivoted our whole company to that. We sailed to this new blue ocean. And when we got there, we won. In about 2011, we started this journey. By 2016, 2017, we had doubled the size of the company every year for 3 years. All in this wonderful blue ocean that we had all to ourselves. But guess what happens? No good idea goes unpunished, and so competition will soon follow, and you have to rinse and repeat this strategy. So you have to go look for another blue ocean. Anybody curious why we started Northstack? Because it's a blue ocean. So we told this story. This is how the market is. This is where we fit. This is where our competitors are. This is where we are. This is how the industry shakes down. Blood red oceans down at the consumer level, a little purple at the prosumer level. Mid-market, it's getting bluer, but there's still some heavy competition in there. Excuse me, those two companies both probably have $400 million in funding between them. You can't get in the middle of that, you'll get crushed. But look at that, we have this beautiful blue water up top. Some of the companies mentioned here may dispute this. But this is our reality. And since I'm up here on stage presenting it to you, maybe it triggers a little authority bias. I'm on stage. I have the authority. I say what reality is. And you guys probably are somewhat influenced by that. If you are, thank you. If you're not, good on you too. The question I want to ask, though, is where else may we be failing to question authority? We take people's opinions as fact. You guys ever looked at WordPress hosting reviews? Oh, God, it's a minefield of affiliates and just junk. But they wrote it, so it must be true. Nah, you need to question it. How often do we take the face value of core team decisions as fact? They're the authority figures, so we just follow along. It's just a general question to maybe question, a general question to you for us to question our authority figures. 10 years of WordPress Phoenix, WordCamp Phoenix. 2009, there's myself, likely questioning the authority of Matt, and Chuck Reynolds. This was over in Tempe. GoDaddy was a sponsor. This was a big effing deal for our little community. There was probably 200, 300, 400 people in that tent. Most of WordPress in Phoenix was anchored kind of out of Gangplank at the time. Was that a fair assessment? Yeah, out in Chandler. It was a great little co-working spot. It was pretty neat because we were just, WordPress was new. Some of our companies were new. Like this how do you be an agency thing was new. Plugins were new. And we had our first big event. It was pretty great. We're not allowed to talk about 2011. It started with an ice luge and ended with a core contributor and Buddy Press guru, James Jacoby, in a cop outfit, handcuffed to a tree. Anyways, the reason there is WordCamp Central is because of this WordCamp. Rules were put in place to prevent this from ever happening again. And then finally, there was a couple more years. This is my beautiful wife, Sally, helping with registration, and myself in the audience when I had this long flowing hair. Bottom line is WordPress in Phoenix, it's been an amazing 10 years. And you guys, hopefully you've been there for some of it or all of it. And none of it would have happened if we don't thank the people that keep the fire burning here. Can we give a round of applause? There's obviously more people, but these are the 4 that I know of firsthand that have always been here making this event happen. So let's talk about product market cycles. Like anything, phones, hosting, CMSs, they generally follow this path. You have an introduction phase, a growth phase, a maturity and stabilization phase, and then an inevitable decline. How long each one of these phases are, totally random, totally dependent on the use case. Unless you're the Phoenix housing market. You guys remember that? Oh my God, that was so painful. Oh, everything was going good, and then just fell off a cliff. Okay, so take WordPress for an example. In the early days, 2000, let's call it 2004, 2005, 2006, there was a lot of little ways to make a little bit of money. The growth phase then happened about 2008, 2009 to sometime in the future, there's a lot more ways to make bigger piles of money. We saw really the explosion of or I'm going to not say explosion, the creation of the WordPress ecosystem during that growth phase. The maturity stabilization phase, why don't we just call it what it is? It's consolidation. The big money buys up the little money, standardizes, makes shit boring, it becomes static, and then it inevitably declines. In the maturation stage, you notice it's hard for little guys to make any money. They might be able to hide in a corner long enough to start a little company before the big money either moves into that space or just buys them up and absorbs them. So this is essentially how I remember it. You know, in the early days, themes were a big thing. You had 30 or 40 theme shops. Now there's like 3 that you really know about. Then, what was it, 2010, 2011, plugins really started taking off. WooCommerce got big, and a few others. Later in that cycle, everything SaaS became the buzzword. Hosting really consolidated its dominance of the ecosystem per se. The only issue with being the peak of that curve is once everything's standardized and consolidated, it's really hard to innovate. And so I'm wondering, are we at peak WordPress? I'm wondering if we're somewhere by this red star. And I don't know what this decline looks like. But I'm curious if we've kind of reached this point of saturation where there's big money making big decisions, and people like us in this room may not have the influence we did in the past. So there's questions like, is Gutenberg really the way forward? I don't know. Do we appeal to the mass market, the Squarespace types, or do we appeal to the developer market that wants a platform, a back-end API-driven platform? Excuse me. Do we hold on to backwards compatibility? How long have we dealt with PHP 5? Come on. I asked some friends, the natives are getting restless. These are things that they've said just yesterday. The community is kind of like, what is going on here? We're not happy. What's wrong with the vision? What's wrong with the direction? I don't know. Uh-oh. Attribution bias plays an effect here, right? Perhaps you guys were assigning a motive to me, or a motive to the people that may have said those mean words. Who the hell does Josh think he is? At a WordPress conference? Dogging WordPress? The nerve of that guy. I get it. But my motives aren't evil. I only bring this up because this has real-world consequences to everybody in this room. The thing that is WordPress, the 33 million sites, the WordCamps, 3 a day in 12 cities across the world. What is it, 1,000 a year or something? The whole shebang all relies on us answering these questions. Are we going in the right direction? Should we be doing the things we're doing? Should we be doing less or more of something? It all really matters. So WordPress, or your specific business inside of WordPress, may want to follow the blue ocean strategy, figure out what's new. I think Gutenberg was just that. That's not working. Let's create a new ocean. Let's sail, move the project that way, try something different. Maybe we can get out of a saturated space and try something new. And I ask you, while you're in this community, to consider where your money goes. We're a small company. I would really prefer you to spend money with small companies. Because really, who benefits with your dollar? You can give your dollar to a big company, and they can pay their employees the minimum amount possible and then give the rest to their shareholders. Or you can give your money to smaller companies, independently run companies, who will take your dollar and reinvest it back in the community, back into their employees, back into their product. Money probably has a greater impact at that level than it does in some shareholder's pocket. At the end of the day, if you're going to do anything, you have to invest in your people. It is not a stretch for me to say that I would have not gotten here on this stage or anywhere without my team, without the people that make Pagely what it is. They're responsible for all of our success. And so you need to invest in your team to such a degree that they cannot see themselves doing anything else. And I'm not talking about just a paycheck. Parental leave, giving them the opportunity to bond with their children, to raise their children. Remote work. Who wants to do a 9-to-5 grind through traffic? Other forms of incentives to essentially take away all the distractions of daily life so that they can focus on your mission goals at your company. I hope that's what we've done at our company. I've eliminated all the chatter so that they can focus on a nice balanced family life with work. And finally, we've managed to figure out how to run our company as what we call leader-leader. In a typical corporate structure, an employee is given responsibility for something, and then they're held accountable for the outcome. But they're never given a say in the matter. So the orders come up from up high, land in somebody's lap. You're responsible for this, get it done. Oh, it didn't work, you're fired. Ooh, would you bust your ass in that scenario? At Pagely, what we've done is tried to add the third missing component, authority. We give our employees the authority to act, the authority to think, the authority to do what's best for the company and the customers. So now, we give them mission goals. We just need to get here to here in a few months or a few weeks or what have you. And then we leave it up to them to act, to decide how they're going to do that and what the parameters for success look like. Then they say, this is what I'm responsible for. I'm responsible for getting this ball down the field. And then we hold them accountable. So now they get a say in their own success, and they get a say in what they do every day. I hope the team thinks it's a lot more empowering. So we talked about WordPress, we talked about market cycles, we talked about shopping small, we talked about the future of the product. Are we going in the right direction or the wrong direction? Whatever, WordPress is awesome. I love this community, been here 10 years. I hope you guys do. But at the end of the day, WordPress may or may not put food on your table. You gotta worry about you. Ultimately, it's about your success. So, what are your goals for 2019 and beyond? Do you double down in this community? Do you diversify your work? Do you abandon it altogether? Just be careful not to hitch your wagon so much to the idea of community that you forget you gotta put food on the table. Back to our story. Where was I? It was 4 a.m. We have millions of dollars worth of client sites down. Frady had literally crawled under our gate to get into our community. We live in a gated community. He literally crawled under it and then ran up to our door. Why were all these sites down? I don't like to admit mistakes, but holy shit, did I make a mistake. And it's a boneheaded one, too. So it turns out, internal to our routing systems, our network, there's domain names that pass traffic. And it turns out that our highest value customers were kind of over in this area, all riding off the same domain name, which had expired. What the? Josh, dude, how do you let a domain name expire? I know. Here's the deal. I had an account at a domain registrar. It had a credit card. Everything was fine. Well, I use MailPlane app, and it has tabs for each one of my inboxes. I had just accidentally closed that inbox one day and wasn't watching it. So I was getting notices. Domain about to expire. Warning, you must renew your domain. Warning, account balance low. Wait for it. Warning, we tried to charge your credit card and it is expired. Like, I failed 5 different ways on this. It was a $10 fix. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Hold on. Okay, we're back. We're back. We're frickin' back. You guys ready for the kicker? That whole move from the bottom of the market to the top of the market comes with a lot of legal responsibility. What happens if some of the biggest brands you can think of can't reach their site? They go to their host and they say, we have a signed SLA, and for every minute my site is unreachable, who's paying? Ladies and gentlemen, this $10 domain renewal cost me $57,000 in SLA credits. That was revenue that I couldn't charge that month. I had to credit it back to my customers. Moral of the story, I was a single point of failure. Never do that. I do a pretty good job of taking myself out of those situations. And this was that one random esoteric thing that I was the only person that had access to that account. So never do that. But we're still here. Mistakes are typically not fatal. That was 50 grand plus that I ate, yet we still have a viable company. We're still growing. We still have satisfied employees that sit in the front row and dead-eye me. While I air our dirty laundry in front of WordCamp. Moral of the story, mistakes aren't fatal. Don't be afraid. Get out there. Go break something. It's not going to kill you. It didn't kill us. Oh, shit. That's survivorship bias. You know what? I survived, and I'm hella biased. So there's no moral lesson there. If you can get out, do it. Thank you. I believe they're going to say a few words, and then they asked me to tell everyone to leave through this door up front.
Hello. Am I good? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, Josh. Everyone give it up for Josh again.